Hello, I'm Roberta.
And I'm Elia.
And we attend the last year of our school, Technical Institute for Computer Science, Oreste del Prete.
We want to show you around how beautiful our region Apulia is. We want to show you how geometry governs our beautiful land. Let's start our journey from Sava, of course.
Sava is a small town in the province of Taranto, in the northern part of Salento, just a few kilometers from the Ionian coast. It has about 15,000 inhabitants.
Our school, which is brand new, is built from a rectangular parallelepiped. Oh, I remember very well where a rectangular parallelepiped is, because I'm just studying it.
The parallelepiped is a polyhedron whose faces are 6 parallelograms. The amplitude of the angles formed by its face may change. When the angles are right angles, forming a rectangle for each face, we're talking about a rectangular parallelepiped.
Manduria, an ancient Messapian town, was surrounded by moats and massive megalithic walls between the 5th and 1st centuries BC. The ruins of 3 circles of wall are still visible today, along with the ruins of a large necropolis with tombs dug in the rock, some of which are large rectangular dimensions, covered with stone slabs. The inner circle has the shape of a regular pentagon with a perimeter of 2.187 meters and a diameter of 8.42 meters. It was built with large parallelepiped-shaped stones, which have a length of 2 meters. The wall reaches a maximum height of 2.50 meters. The inner wall is preceded by a ditch about 4 meters wide and deep the same, placed at some distance from the outer wall. The best preserved city wall is the external one, which has an almost oval shape, with a perimeter greater than that of the inner wall, and it rises up to almost 5 meters. The whole mighty fortified walls that enclose the Messapian town still witnesses today the strength of a so massive and complex military defense. Also, the national monument Cento Pietre is worth mentioning. Cento Pietre is an ancient funerary monument located in the town of Patu in the province of Lecce.
Heading towards Lecce in southern Salento, not only are we blinded by a white light, vivid and intense tones, and blush sea, but especially from the silver-green color of a landscape of olive groves that you lose beside the hay. Sculptures, millenary trees can be admired from the extensive Salento countryside. Majestic olive trees, trunks winding, vigorous and carved by time and man. When the farmer plants an olive tree, he doesn't do this for himself but for the generation to come. Olive tree slows in growing contains the wisdom of a plant that eludes the rules of the hit and run. The trunk of an olive tree tells the beauty of a living being that sails through a temporal dimension which is precluded to us. We note that the planting of these means of liquid gold is organized according to geometric patterns. The sesto di impianto is a geometrical arrangement and spacing of plants.
The sixth and investment are inversely correlated, with N indicating the investment, the number of plants per hectare, with D the distance on the row in meters, with D the distance between rows in meters. The investment is given by the following formula: N equals at 10,000 on D multiplied by D.
Rich in history and art. In particular, Lecce, the administrative center of the easternmost province of Italy, is renowned for the richness and development of Baroque art of Lecce stone, a marble limestone very suitable for working with chisel. In fact, this style is known as Lecce Baroque, and for the beauty of its monument, the city is known as the Florence of the South. It is impossible to describe all the buildings and monuments that make up the Lecce Baroque, but we cannot but mention the Basilica of Santa Croce, with the adjoining former Celestini convent, Duomo Square, which is considered among the most beautiful Italian squares, and the unique St. Matthew's Church.
The facade of the basilica, designed as a giant altar, shows the contributions of several generations of architects over a period of about a century. The upper part of the church is the symbol of Lecce Baroque. It is a triumph of flower and fruit, garlands and little angels, causing the observer constant surprise and wonder. The most valuable feature of the upper order is the very elegant Baroque rose window, among the most valuable and refined that the history of modern art can remember. The central circle is divided into 4 large circular sectors, in turn divided into 7 circular sectors. The annulus surrounding the central circle is a sphere of acanthus leaves and thin decor. It is framed by 2 Corinthian columns and flanked by niches with statue of Saint Benedict and Saint Celestine. The mere presence of the rose window enhanced the whole architectural structure, rising as a symbol of a Baroque of Lecce. Puglia is full of splendid cathedrals adorned with beautiful rose windows that we have nothing to invite the most valuable lace artifacts.
St. Matthew's Church. A contrast of lines between the 2 planes of the facade, which is convex at the entrance and concave upstreams, characterizes the Church of St. Matthew, the only example of Roman Baroque which remains the concave convex style used by Francesco Borromini in the Roman Church of San Carlo alle Quattro Fontane.
I delfini vanno a ballare sulle spiagge.
Moving from Lecce towards the center of Apulia, all buildings worthy of attention are the dolmens. The dolmen is a megalithic prehistoric single-chamber tomb. The site of Stone Age in Britain is the most known of the megalithic monuments, and these tombs were realized between the end of the 5th millennium BC and the end of the 3rd millennium BC. The dolmens are constituted by 2 or more vertical uprights that support 1 or more horizontal slabs, flat band or lintel. The buildings were originally covered, protected and supported by a mound. We cannot but think of Pi Greek, that will know irrational number that governs the mass and the subject related to it.
Going on this way, we arrive at the beautiful Valle d'Idria. Idria Valley is situated in the middle of Puglia, among the provinces of Bari, Brindisi and Taranto. Its territory coincides with the southern part of the plateau of the Murgia. The main peculiarity of the valley are the trulli, the typical and unique stone houses in the shape of a cone. They may be formed by a holy room or by more rooms. The trullo is an approximately circular plant, on whose perimeter is erected a thick dry stone wall. In the rooms, its thickness ensures both warm temperature in winter and cool temperature in summer. The bearing walls are complemented by a pseudo dome that forms the roof. This consists in a self-supporting structure made of concentric series of horizontal places, arranged in step carving inwards as they go upwards. Each circle is statically balanced with the lower ones.
Itria Valerie is also dotted with pagliare or furnieti, rural buildings realized with the technique of dry stone wall. These buildings are similar to the more famous Trulli. They have the shape of a truncated cone with a circular or square plant and are built with stones taken from the surrounding land. Dry because they are built without the aid of mortar or any support. The buildings usually have a single room with no windows. They have very thick walls which ensures cold temperature inside, even in the hottest month. The furnieti have several uses. For example, the cold be temporary shelter, deposit or even house for farmers in summer, when they worked in the fields from dawn to sunset.
Castel del Monte is a 14th century castle built by Emperor Frederick II in Apulia, 18 kilometers far from the town of Andria. It is situated on a hill in the chain of the Western Moja, 540 meters above sea level. Since 1996, it has been listed in the UNESCO World Heritage. Castel del Monte is a magnificent architectural synthesis of sophisticated mathematics, geometry and astronomy knowledge. The plan of the building is based on the octagon, which is a highly symbolic geometric shape. It is the intermediate figure between the square, a symbol of the earth, and the circle, which represents the infinity of sky. Then it would mark the passage from one to another. The structure of the castle is basically a monument block of octagonal shape, and 8 towers of the same shape are on the top of 8 corners. The internal space is on 2 floors, each of them having 8 rooms of trapezoidal shape around an octagon courtyard. On the east side, the main facade is dominated by a majestic portal to which 2 flights of symmetric stairs, axial symmetry, give access. The problem of the roofing has been solved by splitting the initial trapeze dome in a center square and 2 side triangles. The communication between the lower and the upper floor is ensured by the presence of a spiral stairs, not in only 8 towers. The stairs are developed in counterclockwise direction, and they consist of 44 trapezoidal steps, each of them starting by a center column with a diameter of about 22 centimeters. As further evidence of the structural perfection of the building, the tangent to the sides of the inner courtyard meet precisely at the center of the octagonal towers.
Salt pans of Margherita di Savoia are a wild and lonely place of singular beauty. They are situated in the Tavoliere delle Puglia, in the province of Barletta, Trani, Andria, and they are the largest salt pans in Europe for the production of salt, 4,000 hectares. Today, the salt pans consist of a series of basins which seem like a broad lagoon, along the coast between the towns of Margherita di Savoia and Zapponeta. They can produce 5 to 7 million quintals of salt per year. On most of this territory, a state reserve has been established, and to salt pans is dedicated the historical museums of the Salina. Looking at this natural wealth of the wingspan of flamingos that live in the reserve, our mind turns to the shape of the salt pans. A normal trend brings us to the normal distribution or Gaussian, from the name of the German mathematician Carl Friedrich Gauss, a distribution of the continuous probability that is often used as the first approximation to describe random variables to real values, which tend to concentrate around a single mean value. The graph of the associated function of density of probability is symmetrical to and has bell shape, known as bell of Gauss. The normal distribution depends on two parameters, the mean mu and the variance square sigma, and is traditionally indicated with n of mu and square sigma. The normal distribution is characterized by the following function of density of probability, which is often resolved to a Gaussian curve.
Taranto is our country seat. It is located on the Ionian Sea, next to the Gulf, which has the same name, and it lies between two seas, the Mar Grande, Wide Sea, and the Mar Piccolo, Small Sea. It is home to an important commercial and industrial port, and to the arsenal of the Italian Navy. Moreover, there is also an important industrial center, the largest steel plant in Europe. The Aragonese Coastal or St. Angel's Coastal, with its quadrangular map and the large central country yard, is situated on the extreme corner of the island, where the old town rises. The first nucleus of castle dates back to 970, when the Byzantines began the construction of the fortress, whose aim was to protect the town against the attacks of the Saracens. The round towers and massive castle are high and 20 meters wide, joined together by 14 meters long curtains and 4 orders of fire. The circular towers were built by exploiting the linearity and homogeneity of geometry that doesn't have a point of discontinuity. These characteristics permit to have both a wider view and shooting and to better resist to the attack of the ram and to the impact of the bullets of guns. The shape of the round towers is very old and it appeared diffusely towards the end of the Crusades, when all the advantage related to the cylindrical shape emerged. The castle was completed in 1492. In 1887, the castle became the seat of the navy, the operate the opening and maintenance of the majestic swing bridge, unique in the world for its way of opening horizontally, with the two seats opposite to each other.
Our beautiful journey ends here.
We have seen how geometry is everywhere in our beautiful Apulia.
It's an integral part of colors, art, and also landscape, and also flavors of our beautiful region, Apulia. See you there!
When you are here, you will be to see with your eyes all the charm of our Apulia.
Goodbye, arrivederci!
La legge della natura è veramente esatta, quando marito è sicca la moglie è chiatta. Oh, c'è bello lo primo amore, lo secondo è più meglio ancora. Pascala militare è diventata chionza, ha preso alla moglie da compare Alfonso. Oh, c'è bello lo primo amore, lo secondo è più